Welcome to the Caribbean Cricket Podcast, your one-stop shop for all things West Indies cricket. By the fans, for the fans. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another edition, another episode of the Caribbean Cricket Podcast. I'm one half of the Caribbean Cricket Podcast, Mashal St. Patrick Hewitt. And first things first, I mean, there hasn't been any content on the channel for about 3-4 days. I've actually been down and out. I think I put my body on the line to watch all of that test series against Australia, all of the ODIs versus Australia, and eventually, after 5 matches, including obviously the days of the test matches, waking up at 3 a.m, my body finally said enough, and I've been down and out since the end of the third ODI. But I thought it was right to come back and just do this particular quick video to just say thank you. To be honest, this is just a thank you video. Thank you to all of you, wherever you originate from, whether you're back home in the Caribbean, whether you're in the UK. And we're just going to call the places that, when we pull our YouTube analysis stats, I'm just going to call the places that are in the top 10. And I know there's more of you out there. The UK, United States, Jamaica, Barbados, Guyana, Trinidad and Tobago, Canada, India, occasionally Australia, St. Lucia, St. Vincent, Grenada. I'm probably missing someone out. Just thank you, thank you for helping us hit that milestone of 1 million views on the channel. And there'll be some of you who may have your own YouTube channels and watch far bigger platforms than us, will be like, Mash, that's no big thing. But to us, it was a big thing, because when we started the Caribbean Cricket Podcast, although we knew there was a niche in the market to be filled, we didn't know how big it would get. We had no idea who would really engage with it. We just knew it was something worth doing, right? And for those of you who kind of don't know the origin story, Caribbean Cricket Podcast came to fruition in the back end of 2019. Myself and Santoki met in a coffee shop in East London to discuss if there was mileage in creating a media platform totally from scratch, no help from anybody. Neither one of us had any kind of tech skills. We still probably don't, to be honest. And we just felt that one of the biggest issues with West Indian cricket media was that, because of the geographic nature of the Caribbean, you have Jamaican media that covers Jamaican sports, and in the context of cricket, Jamaican cricket. Barbados does the Barbados stuff. Guyana does the Guyana stuff. So within all of those islands and nations, you have individual journalists and media people who will cover their nation, and rightly so. But we felt that there was no good, and the emphasis is on the word good here, media platform that tried to draw all of the stories together from all of the nations within the Caribbean and effectively purported to be what we say we are, the Caribbean Cricket Podcast. We're not here to champion Jamaica. We're not here to champion Guyana, or Trinidad or Barbados. Where the news is and where positive things are happening, we will champion it all, irrespective of whatever nation, island it comes from within the Caribbean. And that's what we set out to do. We set out to be completely objective in our analysis. We wanted to be an independent media platform that stakeholders around the Caribbean, cricket writers around the Caribbean and in the diaspora, journalists, CPL officials, etc., we wanted to make sure that we would become the trusted platform, the place where you could go and not be subjected to gotcha sound clips or people trying to dig you out, or people trying to go into business for themselves. instead of actually promoting the cricket, right? We didn't want to become a political media entity. We just wanted to be completely neutral and, just cover the cricket, and bring it to the masses. What we found in the 4 years or 3.5 years, whatever it is, since we set up the Caribbean Cricket Podcast, is that there is the notion that there isn't an audience out there that wants to lap up and read about and listen to stories about cricket in the region. The idea that that doesn't exist is a nonsense. This channel has shown that. The growth of this channel has shown that, both in the YouTube platform and more so initially, and more so on the audio platforms themselves. And whether it be, let's just call some names, whether it be Ricky Skerritt coming on, previous Cricket West Indies president, Johnny Grave multiple times, Jimmy Adams, Kishore Shallow, Chris Brabazon as coach and education manager. Who else have we got on that's a stakeholder? I'm probably missing some names. And then around the region itself, Nikita Miller. When we look at players, in terms of current players, Shimron Hetmeyer has come on, Carl Mayers has come on, Shea Hope has come on, Brandon King has come on, Evan Lewis has come on. Okay, so players, stakeholders, officials off the pitch, players on the pitch. Hayley Matthews came on recently. We feel that whether you're a player or whether you're an official, whether you're a stakeholder, whether you're a fan, people know that when you come on this channel, we're talking the realness. We're not here to expose. We're just talking the realness. We're trying to understand what makes the game within the region. And we've tried to, over the 3.5 to 4 years, stay consistent on that metric, and try and stay consistent in the depth of the analysis we go into. I know some people in recent years have said, "Oh, you lot laugh too much." Yeah, because we don't take ourselves seriously. And I think that's what sometimes people, I think, have misunderstood, that the jokes and the laughing we do is because fundamentally we aren't here to take ourselves seriously. Like, we want to talk about the cricket and we want to focus on the cricket. But if there's jokes to be had, we'll crack jokes, yes, because life is life, Like, we aren't we aren't here to be like, you must listen to us no matter what. If you don't want to listen, you don't want to listen. It's all good. But what we will always say is that we will always maintain that our content is worth listening to. So, anyways, fast forward now into the start of 2024, and I got, about a week ago, I got an email sent to me from YouTube saying that, congratulations, you've passed 1 million total views on the channel. And sometimes you have to celebrate your W's. You have to celebrate them, and you have to say, you know what, we've done well. We've done well. I sent it to Santoki, and I was like, you know what, Santoki, we have taken something from scratch, literally started from scratch. The money that has been put into this channel is out of our own pockets initially, right? At no point between 2019 and 2024 have we ever really had a sponsor. We don't have no big company behind us. We don't have no Caribbean entities, whether in London itself or in the Caribbean, that have ever really invested in what we're doing. A couple of years back, I think 2.5 years back, we had a brief partnership with CPL for CPL 2021. And that's the closest we've ever come to someone investing as a company in what we do. I mean, I'll talk about future plans and where we might go on and so on and so forth. But when we say that this channel is by the fans, for the fans, that's literally what we've been. I've often spoken to people when I've gone around county grounds in England, when I was back in Jamaica in the summer, visiting my parents. People always say it always shocks me when people assume that this is our full-time job. Neither Santoki or myself work on this full-time. We barely work on it part-time. Most of the content that you see myself and Santoki do on this channel is done late at night after the jobs we actually do. Most of you know, I won't give Santoki can talk for himself, but most of you will know that I'm a senior teacher. in back in England, and that when I do stuff for this channel, it's usually late at night, anytime after 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, etc. So this is just an add-on. This is just a passion project. We aren't we aren't paid. We aren't paid for this, and people are often shocked when I tell them, no, we're not paid. We don't make money off this. What I would say, to be completely transparent, is that what has kept us on the airwaves is we've had patrons. We set up a Patreon about 2 years ago, and I want to just thank every single person who at any point currently, in the past, who has ever contributed anything to keep the Caribbean Cricket Podcast on the road, so to speak. And that's why we came up with the moniker "By the Fans, for the Fans," because you are the ones who have kept us out there. We don't believe in doing those kind of big patron things where it's like, oh, and for £15 a month, we will do a private podcast for you. We don't believe in doing those things. We've always just tried to keep it very, very simple. For two, whatever your currency is, dollars, yen, whatever it might be, pounds, etc. We just say, that's just for supporting us. So we're not in the business of saying, give us 10, give us 15, give us 20 now. And then we're never going to do that. We're just like, if you can give a little, whatever little piece of change you can spare, that's enough for us. And that just keeps us on the road. And the most we've ever done is we've said, well, for £5 or US dollars, whatever it might be your currency is, we'll just give you 25% off merch. The merch itself that we've ever done, the merch initially, when we started the merch, that was just funded out my own pocket. Every single piece of merch you've ever seen, from the t-shirts to the hoodies to the international caps to the current jumpers that we're doing, initially the first round of merch was just out of my own pocket, and we broke even on that. Every other set of merch we've ever had since has come from patrons who put money into it, and then when that money has built up to a level where we can afford to pay for a quantity of merch, we just put that money into the merch budget, and then the merch, we sell it. We don't sell the merch to make a profit. We break even. When that money comes in, we go to a next merch range again. So, I mean, I'm just trying to be transparent to people to let you know that this has never been a money-making endeavor. Have we benefited in other revenue streams off the back of the Caribbean Cricket Podcast? Yes. I think the work we've done on this channel has opened people's eyes to our abilities on the mic, and that's led to opportunities. Certainly in England, both Santoki and myself were doing a lot of BBC county cricket and T20 Blast commentary last year, and we're thankful and grateful for those opportunities. Obviously, I did a bit with TalkSport just before Christmas for the West Indies, England T20 internationals, 3 out of the 5. Again, grateful for those opportunities. But again, I don't think we ever set out with that as the intention. Like, whatever has come off the back of it, again, we say that's down to you lot. That's down to you lot who have engaged with what we've done, supported what we've done, believed in what we've done. And any opportunities that have come off the back of that, we say thank you for those who've supported us along the way, you know. In terms of the channel itself, I looked back before I recorded this video. I went back and I was like, when did we start taking YouTube seriously? Because the first audio podcast we did that went out on Spotify or Apple was August 2019. We didn't take YouTube seriously. In fact, not even seriously. We didn't start properly putting content on YouTube until about, I wrote it down, May 2021. So there was a 2-year gap between starting it out. Originally, the Caribbean Cricket Podcast was just supposed to be an audio platform. You know, Spotify, Apple, Google Podcasts, all of the different audio platforms. It took us 2 years to realize that maybe we should upload the visuals from the podcast episodes to YouTube. And when we started in May 2021, we weren't doing regular content. All we were doing was just uploading the occasional episodes we were doing on the audio platforms. It wasn't until July, September-ish 2021 where we started to do a few videos like this, where I'd come on the screen and just talk about the latest stuff in West Indies cricket and kind of do like opinion pieces. And then eventually, probably around the middle of 2022, Santoki and I started to do let's just talk for half an hour. Let's record an episode just for YouTube. So this YouTube growth, believe it or not, has only really been 2 years in the making. It's taken 2 years for myself and Santoki. In fact, I'm going to quickly look now. I can even tell you lot, because people again will think I'm making this up. They'll think this is a joke. Here we go. The first video that Santoki and I did that wasn't like an official podcast episode where it was just me and Santoki riffing. The first proper one was, what's this one? I'm live. I'm literally doing this live with you lot now. This is crazy. It just goes to show, man. The world is crazy, man. The first one where it was me and Santoki just riffing about just any old stuff was around, July 2022 was when we started just doing random episodes just for YouTube, not even for the audio platforms. And that's when we realized that we were starting to really drop content on YouTube. So we kind of feel like this YouTube growth has happened in the last 2 years. The channel has existed really since the back end of 2020, but the proper content on it only started 2 years ago. And again, we just want to say thank you so much for people, because when we made that jump and started putting more stuff on YouTube than we were putting out on audio platforms, that was a big risk to take, because we built up such a following on the audio platforms that we got to a point where we were like, well, you can only keep doing something as a passion project for so long before you start to say, well, something's got to be financially worth your while. And we started to realize, listen, if we put our stuff on YouTube, more stuff on YouTube, at least we can get some small change from YouTube. And that's why we actually made that initial shift. It wasn't a deliberate plan per se, but listen, a passion project is a passion project until you realize you're putting in more time and effort than money that you're actually making. And we didn't want to just keep going, just making nothing, because people have lives and families and, and a life to lead. So we started doing more YouTube stuff as a way to just try and make small change. And for those of you who understand how the YouTube payouts work, it's nothing major, people. Even as we've got bigger as a channel, it's still nothing major, but it's a bit of small change, right? So that's why, for those of you who've wondered why our audio updates are so much slower than what we put on YouTube, is because the YouTube content has outpaced what we do on audio. And when we put stuff on audio platforms, Spotify, etc., we want that to sound quality. So we get those properly looked at by our guy Sten, who kind of chops it all up and makes sure that it sounds proper from an audio perspective. So it's just much slower to get stuff out audio wise. And thank you to those who continue or prefer, I would even say, to listen to what we do via the audio platforms. So I've had a lot of people say to me, so what's next? Where do you go now? Okay, you've hit the 1 million belly, and well done. We support you. Congratulations. What now? It's a good question. What I would say, and if you disagree with me, by all means, get in the comments below. When we started the Caribbean Cricket Podcast in 2019, I do not believe that the level of West Indies cricket content that is currently out there now from other platforms, that didn't exist 4 years ago. People taking West Indies cricket as seriously as they do now didn't exist 4 years ago. You lot may say that I'm blowing gas up our own backsides here. I think I'm right. I genuinely think I'm right, because we would, if the channels that exist now, whether from Sportsmax to this to that to this person to that person, if all of that stuff genuinely existed in 2019, there'd be no need to do Caribbean Cricket Podcasts. I genuinely believe, and Santoki, I think, supports me on this because we've had conversations about this. We genuinely believe that we have influenced, I genuinely believe this, we have influenced others to up their levels in their coverage of West Indies cricket, and or create their own channels and do West Indies cricket 24/7. Oh, do we feel threatened by that? No, because I think what we do is completely different to what anybody else does. I don't think there is, even now in 2024, I still don't think there is any platform out there, and I'm even including Sportsmats in there in this, that does the coverage of West Indies cricket as interesting as we do. So I don't feel threatened by the number of platforms out there because I still think we're better than them. I still think we're number one. Now, now people can get in the comments and say, you arrogant so and so, and that's fine. But I still think we do it better than everybody else who's covering West Indies cricket. So in terms of what we do go, and that doesn't mean that we've got the numbers. I'm not trying to say that that means that we've got the fan base or the numbers that matches anybody else. We don't. We don't. And a simple look at our views, if that matters to people, go on. You can easily point out stats and views and say, no, but look at this channel. It gets far more than you lot. That's cool. But I know if people want the real quality, the real stakeholders, the channel that's going to look at, that will be diverse enough to look at the history of Frank Worrell through to the history of Guyana cricket, through to a video where it's just me and Santoki laughing and riffing, through to previews and reviews and getting stakeholders on. No one does it better than us. We're versatile up. We're versatile out here. We can give you anything and everything, serious to jokes and back to serious again, all in the same episode. So that's why we think we've always stood out from everybody else. So where do we go from here? Listen, in an ideal, I'll give you the ideal scenario. In an ideal scenario, we keep growing, we keep doing what we're doing. Santoki and I have not written any 5-year plan or 2-year plan or 1-year plan. We just, all that ever happens between us, believe it or not, is one of us will text the other randomly in a week and go, do you fancy doing something? All right, cool. When are you free? Let's do it then. There's no plan, people. We have never worked to a plan. But we also recognize that we've got to a growth stage where we've probably outgrown where we thought we would get to. So in an ideal world, we'd get a sponsor. I think in an ideal world, we'd get a sponsor. Patrons notwithstanding, we'd have somebody sponsoring the show that understands who we are, what we do, and the reach that we have and how we can be influential for their particular brand. What I've never understood is if we should be sponsored by companies in the Caribbean or companies in the States or companies in the UK. When we look at our figures, our biggest two markets are, our biggest market is the United States by a long way. The diaspora in the United States supports us something major. When you break it down, they're out here. But then we've got a big followership in Barbados, in Jamaica, in Guyana, in Trinidad and Tobago, and then in the UK. So I couldn't tell you what the best sponsor is for the Caribbean Cricket Podcast. I do understand that we probably would benefit from one. That's in terms of financials. Where do we go from here? Where do we go from here as a channel and as two individuals who believe that we have a lot to say on West Indies cricket and actually can speak with a level of authority on modern day West Indies cricket that we believe very few others can match. I'm saying that. We believe that very few others can match. Listen, we will come with our research. We'll come with the facts. We'll come with the stats. We'll look at the historical context. We'll bring the social, cultural, political, economic context, everything. We believe that we can talk with a level of depth, breadth, and gravitas that few others can match. So where else we go from here is, I think at some stage, we should be aiming to be on tour somewhere. 2 years ago, I went out, again, all out of my own pocket, people. I flew out to, in fact, didn't even fly to the train to the Netherlands and covered the Netherlands West Indies series. And that was brilliant. I had a great time. All out my own pocket. Didn't make any money off that whatsoever. I took the loss because for the love of the game. There was no other media out there from the Caribbean or anybody in general covering anything to do with the West Indies on that tour. I was the only person there. Did a bit of TV commentary whilst I was out there, met loads and loads of fans, the diaspora fans who flew in from various different parts of Europe, people who flew over from the Caribbean, an amazing time. And that gave me a little bit of an insight into what the Caribbean Cricket Podcast could be. Even then, 2 years ago, I remember turning up in the Netherlands and people saying to me, oh, they knew who I was. And that's not to say any kind of famous thing, but it showed me that there were people out there listening to the podcast, right? So I think we're at a stage where we've got to start thinking about, let's go on tour. Let's make it happen. I don't know how it works financially. I don't know how it correlates with the fact that we're both employed full-time in very demanding professions. But we also recognize that this thing is now bigger than whatever we thought it was going to be, and recognized globally as a legitimate voice on West Indies cricket. So I guess the saying goes, the world is our oyster, right? Well, let's see. Listen, people, thank you so much, because ultimately that was the point of the video. Thank you. Thank you. Without you lot, we wouldn't even be where we're at right now. Excited to see where this channel can grow to. If you want to hit me up, hit us up, and talk about what you think the Caribbean Cricket Podcast can do. Or if you want to get involved, or if you think you've got some ideas around it, all the different places to find us, people, at Carib Cricket on Twitter and Instagram, or on Facebook as well. Just type in Caribbean Cricket Podcast. We do have a website, which I haven't updated in ages. If you're somebody who knows how to do website stuff, by the way, get in touch with me, because that website needs some love and attention, and I ain't got the time. But our website, www.caribbeancricketpodcast.com, head there. As usual, you see the ticker tape below. Like the video, share the video, subscribe to the video. But most importantly of all, listen, people, just keep watching. If you like the wave, if you like what we do, just keep watching the Caribbean Cricket Podcast, and we'll keep keeping it real, because that's what we've always done. I'm Ashton St. Patrick here at one half the Caribbean Cricket Podcast. Thank you and good night.
We rule the cricket world. Now the rules seem coming.
Welcome to the Caribbean Cricket Podcast, your one-stop shop for all things West Indies cricket. By the fans, for the fans.